What's up, everybody? It's HBT with the Straight Up Wrestling Show, guys. I am just riding down the road, about to head over to a friend's house, man. We probably check out some wrestling, probably do some wrestling things. Probably talk about a few other things among wrestling. And I'm trying to get in touch with Christopher Burton. Hopefully he'll call me here pretty soon, guys, and I'll be able to talk to him. Also talk to him while I am traveling to one of the guys, man, that we basically used to hang out with, our best friend, and we all, that's all we did was watch wrestling, guys. So I'm pretty much going to go over to his house and talk to him about wrestling. I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be doing. And we probably be looking at some wrestling and, among other things, talk about some other things. But, man, been an eventual day so far today. Guys, I pretty much got into it with some people online, man, back and forth, talking about some R&B, talking about music, and we was talking about one of Stevie Wonder's most famous songs, Sir Duke, guys. Sir Duke, if you haven't heard it, it goes kind of like this. You can feel it all over. I can feel it all over, baby. So pretty much that's it. Didn't hit the notes the way I wanted to, but that's okay. But you get the gist of it. But that was a very famous song back in 1976, guys. When I was 9 years old, I knew it had to be between, 76 and 77 when it came out. It was people on there that was pretty much trying to dispute me and say that song didn't come out in 76. That it came out in 1980. But, man, what it came from was this lady was dating some older guy, man, that listens to that music. He was listening to Stevie Wonder, and he was like, oh, get it, man. He was all into it, and she was all annoyed, but looked like a lady that was millennial, early millennial, late Gen Z or whatever, that was dating this old man. And basically, you had Gen X guys, Gen X people on there, guys and ladies on the platform trying to say that was our music. And I'm like, wow, man. I'm like, so I pretty much disputed it. I said, I do not rock Stevie Wonder, which I do not rock Stevie Wonder. Yes, I grew up listening to him because my mother played Stevie Wonder. My dad and all her friends, they played Stevie Wonder. But that is not that is not the era of music that defines my generation. Which I told him, I said, hey, I'm one of the early Gen Xers. Gen X started from 1965 to 1980. I was born in 1967. So Gen X, I was one of the early Gen X guys. So basically, when I say my era, my era of music to me was between 1979 to maybe 1992, 1993 was my favorite time of the year. But basically, the 80s were Gen X. That was our music. The 70s, that was baby boomer stuff. And, I pretty much put that out there, and you had some people who wanted to dispute me and said that was not their music. Yes, it was. Excuse me. I was 9 years old in 1976. My mom was 29 years old. My mother was 29 years old when that song came out, guys, and she used to play that song like crazy. I have her old album, The Songs in the Key of Life, because I used to be a DJ, so I was able to get every single one of her vinyl records back in the day, man. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, before she moved, she, pretty much got rid of all that because all her favorite stuff she had collected on compact discs, or pretty much she was listening to it on cassette tapes in a car or whatever, or compact discs. So basically, she wasn't playing vinyl records no more. So I got all those records, guys, from back in the day. I got LTD. I have LTD. I have Brothers Johnson's. I have Aretha Franklin. I have Rufus and Chaka Khan. I have every single thing. I have all that stuff that she used to listen to back in the day. The Barcades, man. Cameo. Everybody back there in the 70s. The Isley Brothers. I have all that stuff. All that stuff. And, of course, the Isley Brothers, the 70s Isley Brothers, probably my favorite R&B material of all time. But my era of music was the maybe like 79, like I said, basically the 80s. When I was coming up, pretty much I was a preteen to, a teenager. in the 80s, I love Zapp when it comes to R&B music. Now, we're talking about R&B, but I listen to everything. But I love Zapp. I love Gap Band. I love, like I said, Cameo went on into the 80s. I love Cameo, even Barcades, and all those guys like that. But that is the type of music that I used to love, man. And then Ready for the World, Prince and the Time, and so much more that I liked that was R&B. That was not 70s R&B, but I do love the 70s R&B disco soul era. So I am talking about that, man. But hey, let's go ahead and talk about wrestling. So I'm gonna go ahead and get past that because this right here is supposed to be about wrestling, guys. But I wanted to touch a little bit on that subject about what I was doing today. And man, but yeah, last night, hey, I was thinking, I'm sitting there thinking, me and Chris was talking on our last podcast, and I said, look, who can define today's era? Who can be the next Hulk Hogan? Is there a next Hulk Hogan? Man, I don't even know if the infrastructure is there for them to build another Hulk Hogan. Well, I take that back. It's definitely there, but do anybody have the intuition? Anybody have the knowledge of how to build the next Hulk Hogan? And do we have any wrestlers out there who's dedicated enough to put in that much time to be the next Hulk Hogan? And just speaking of Hulk Hogan, I'm going to throw in a lot of other wrestlers who was household names like Hulk Hogan back in the day. You got to look at Hulk Hogan. When you look at him, you look at household names back in his time in the mid 80s to, late 80s. That was just huge. Let's go ahead and start with Hulk Hogan. The Ultimate Warrior. Randy Macho Man Savage. Nature Boy Ric Flair. Let's see. Who else? Sting. Let's see. Big Van Vader, ended up being Vader. Well, actually, he was in the 90s. But the Road Warriors. Let's see. The Demolition came on the scene. But those type of guys, I'm talking about guys that made it to the top and was like that Hulk Hogan type character. And the only people that I can really see within the last 25 years that got to that status was Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. Let's see, who else can you really throw in there? Undertaker, maybe Undertaker to a certain point got to that status, but not a lot of wrestlers got to that status. I mean, John Cena did get pretty popular, and he's pretty famous, but he never have reached that caliber of a Hulk Hogan. There's only a few. There's only a handful that you can say that got on Hulk Hogan's level, and that's Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Nature Boy Ric Flair, and I say Ultimate Warrior. I gotta say Ultimate Warrior. I think we named somebody else. Me and Chris named somebody else in that place. I think we said John Cena, but not really. I gotta say, I gotta put Ultimate Warrior there, man. I really do. For that short stint. So let me think about that again. The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, okay. I said The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin. This is what me and Chris had. The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair, and Randy Savage. Those four right there, and Hogan. Those five pretty much defined wrestling back in the 80s and the early to mid 90s. They were the ones that got wrestling over. They are the ones who became just huge household names. And pretty much Ric Flair mostly gained his late in his career after he retired, because he did so many great things as a wrestler, cut so many great promos, and people look at him as the quintessential wrestler. So Ric Flair is in this group, but when it boils down to it, the other four, they pretty much had the machine up in New York behind them, and that's the World Wrestling Federation, which became World Wrestling Entertainment, Vince McMahon. But they had that machine up in New York. They had the business, pretty much the business capital of the world as far as publishing things, and pretty much putting you out there. New York was the capital of that. So it was hard for anybody outside the World Wrestling Federation to get that notoriety that Hogan, Randy Savage got Ultimate Warrior. And who else was it? Let's see. Okay, then, yeah. And then later on, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. But it was hard for anybody else to get that. Ric Flair did it by traveling all over the world. Ric Flair, of course, he was on WTBS. But, man, hey, a lot of people, try to deny it and try to say they didn't know him or whatever. But everybody knew him. You walk into any grocery store in the country, you saw his face pop up on these magazines. And this one, they used to put wrestling magazines right there in the front with all the other magazines and things like that. But everybody knew something about him. And like I say, his legacy continued to grow after he retired because, hey, people was interested. People started seeing his matches, earlier matches and things like that. And yes, he did end up going to the World Wrestling Federation back in the mid to late 90s. He ended up being in the World Wrestling Federation and became a 2-time champion there, and it pretty much added on to his legacy. But that Ric Flair was not at the top of his game. He was on the downslide of his career, but still can nick 90% of the wrestling market. He still can take out 90% of the wrestling market. Just a great competitor, outstanding, the best all-around wrestler, pretty much that has ever been. I'm talking about having a whole package of a wrestler is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, guys. No ins, ands, and buts about it. But Hulk Hogan, man, can anybody else out there be on that level of a Hulk Hogan or get on that level? And like I said, I don't know if we have anybody out here who can do that. I just have no clue. I have no clue. Now, we can look at people and speculate on certain wrestlers who could actually do it. Now, could Roman Reigns, if Roman Reigns decided to be a full-time wrestler and put everything in it and want to market himself, have his own team and want to market himself, do certain things outside of the World Wrestling Entertainment, which, they get a piece of everything, but to market himself hard as he can to become that next Hulk Hogan. That's if he would commit to a full-time work schedule, which he will not do that. He's not going to do that. So that right there that's not going to happen. And I think Roman is happy with what he does have. But man, no, he will never become a household name, as far as like a Hulk Hogan or one of those top stars back in the day. He would never become a Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, even though Rock, he's seen with the Rock a good bit. He would never become that. You can look at somebody like, let's look at Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes could become that. Cody Rhodes, I think his name as far as on the outside circles in wrestling is bigger than Roman Reigns. And and that's in a short period of time of him being the champion. Him being the champion in the WWE. Just a short period of time, I think he has built up a bigger name. Now, I'm not saying among wrestling fans, but among on the outside, people that's on the outside that's not really looking in because of his name, Cody Rhodes. And people out here saying this guy's pretty good, and everybody want to know, hey, is that Dusty Rhodes' son? A lot of people knew who Dusty Rhodes is. A lot of people. That's another household name, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. So they're like, oh, is that Dusty's son? That's Dusty's son. My mother and a lot of other people who don't even watch wrestling, they want to know, is that Dusty's son? So they know about Cody Rhodes. So Cody Rhodes. Now, as far as any other males, who else? MJF probably could have made inroads to be that type of wrestler. Maybe not as big as Hogan, but got as big as some of the counterparts that came after Hogan. He definitely could have got in that stratosphere. But the thing is this, he has to wrestle, guys. He can't do it by not wrestling. By just cutting promos. He cannot do it by just cutting promos. MJF has to wrestle if he wants to be what Hulk Hogan is, guys. If he ever wanted to get like that. But once again, I think MJF is satisfied with his plight in the business and where he's at. And I think a lot of these guys they are satisfied with that. They're not, I think they want to be as big as the guys were back then. They would love to be like that. But I don't think they have any clue. And the companies that's pretty much running the business today have any clue how to build their character, how to build them to where they're this larger than life character, big time pop figure out here in the general public. Only person I can see, since we've been doing this thing for over 4 years, a little over 4 years now, that Straight Up Wrestling Show been doing this, only people that I can see that really had a shot and still has a shot to do that is Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is the only one right now I can see. And it is some on a smaller scale. Like I said, MJF. Let's look at some others. And let's look at some others that may be able to do it. Let's see. Braun Breaker. Can he do that? I think Braun Breaker can get just as big as the Steiner brothers, even by himself. Now, his cousin's supposed to come in, but I think he can get just as big as the Steiner brothers, so he can get close to it. The Steiner brothers became a household name, so Braun Breaker definitely can do that, but you have to have him set up in the right position to be able to do that. For it to happen, you got to set him up in the right position. And yes, Paul Heyman as the spokesperson, as the person pretty much leading Braun Breaker, is the right thing to do. But is it a perfect fit? Is it the right fit? That's one thing I do not know if it's the right fit when it boils down to it. Okay? And yeah, let's throw the Road Warriors in among that. The Road Warriors. And like I said, because just like the Steiner brothers done, the Road Warriors even bigger. The Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom. And I know a lot of you WWF loyalists, WWE loyalists who just watched that and didn't really get to see the NWA, WCW. Yes, the Road Warriors were the Road Warriors before they was Legion of Doom, guys. Legion of Doom was a faction. That was that was Jake the Snake Roberts. That was King Kong Bundy. That was the Spoiler, Paul Ellering, and the Road Warriors. That was the Legion of Doom. And King Kong Bundy. All the rest of them, as they all left and pretty much went on their own, the Road Warriors was left, and they was calling themselves the Legion of Doom. But that was a faction, guys, straight up. And the WWE decided to call them the LOD, Legion of Doom. So they called them Legion of Doom, even though they was calling them the Road Warriors a little bit later on too. But they was called the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. So, man. Hey, and I truly believe this. Even though, they get in there, they've been around for a long time. You want to look at somebody who could get to that status. As a tag team, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, they are incredible, guys. As a tag team, even though they do a lot of super kicks and things like that, they do a lot of the same things. But as a tag team, those guys are super, guys. They're straight. I love them as a tag team. Now, we did just see Jay recently pretty much have a rise with the, pretty much a rise with everybody yeeting. The yeet thing went crazy. It went flat out crazy, guys. But when it boils down to it, I'm wondering how long can it be sustainable? Wow. And another guy, man, somebody who can reach the level of the Macho Man Randy Savage. Hey, LA Knight. Forgot about LA Knight. LA Knight, he is one that really can pretty much become that type of wrestler who pretty much can gravitate and pull in the general public. That I think he has the strength to do it. He has the charisma to do it. He definitely can do it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I believe that he's the most incredible worker in the ring. He's not a great ring tactician, but he's decent. I say he's a C+ wrestler, at the most a B wrestler. But it's not about that, guys. It's about what he can do as far as bringing fans in, and he can do it and make it look good. He really can. He really can. This guy reminds me of Magnum TA, man. He reminds me of Magnum TA. He really does. Magnum didn't have all the talent in the world, but Magnum had the looks. He had the look. He had everything that you wanted in a professional wrestler if you was trying to bring in the general public to say, hey, check this out. Hey, man, this is pretty cool. And that LA Knight guy has it. Now, we can look at Gunther, but Gunther is the ultimate heel. One thing about Gunther, you messing Gunther up. Can you make Gunther this incredible, vicious, villainous guy that everybody's going to be behind? Like a Roddy Piper when he was feuding with Hogan and people like that? Yes. Most definitely you can do it. But having him lose and tap out to somebody like Jey Uso, having Pat McAfee hang in there tough against a man like Gunther, it's not good. You have got to make this guy look like a monster. He has got to look like WCW's Big Van Vader. He's got to look like Vader of WCW. He's got to look like Bruiser Brody. He's got to look like Abdullah the Butcher. I'm talking about Abdullah the Butcher from the 70s and early 80s to the mid 80s. Just dominating everybody that he came in contact with. This guy got to look unstoppable, guys. And they had that. But they let that go when they decided to let him tap out to Jey Uso. Now they have to build him back up, and he's got to get past that. He's got to get past that, man, to where people are not going to be saying, you tapped out. You tapped out. You tapped out. Hey, he's got to get past it. And it's not his fault. Straight up. But, man, hey, wow. All right, guys, I just wanted to come in a little bit and talk about that. Talk about the people who can be somebody, man, somebody in wrestling. Who can step up? Who can step up, guys? I'm on my afternoon drive, guys. I'm going over to a friend's house. Hey, I'm out here driving, so I'm pretty much all over the place. But yes, who can step up and be the next Hulk Hogan? Or can the industry, which it is up to the promotions and things like that, can somebody build another Hulk Hogan? Wrestling desperately needs that. But before you get off here, go ahead and hit that like, share, join if you like this podcast. Hit that like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Ding, ding, ding. If you're over on YouTube or you over on Twitch, go ahead and hit that like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And the first thing I said, that's on Facebook, hit that like, share, join. And if you catch us over on X, guys, hit that like, share, tweet, and retweet, and follow the Straight Up Wrestling Show. This is HBT. Talk to each and every one of you later. Stay straight up. Peace.